they also want to earn, right? Is this an option to not have a shop for the devs?
Oh, I haven't. That's a great question. I actually know somebody that used to work there. We went and got a certification together, and he kind of told me, like, you know, their HR department is out of control. He got accused of a whole bunch of very heinous things just because of emojis, and
like stealing breast milk.
No.
Hello everyone to another episode of my podcast in white. Your resonance on my first episode was really great, and that's why I decided to keep the format going. Today I want to talk about a few really interesting topics. Turtle WoW is dead, but its code didn't die. It's bred. 3 servers now carry it. And beside that, Blizzard is using the biggest private server on Earth, and somehow other servers like Warmane already exist 15 years untouched. There are legal shields which private servers could use to protect themselves from furious Blizzard lawyers. For those topics, I invited another really special guest today, and I'm really looking forward to it. He's a relatively new content creator, but that doesn't say anything about the quality of his work, because his videos are really impressive. My guest today is Chief Rockie.
Hello everybody, I'm Chief Rockie. I'll go ahead and start my introduction. So I started my MMO channel just about 2 months ago. I've been playing MMOs for, I don't know, maybe since 2001. Most people probably won't even realize some of these game names, but I'll go ahead and say them, like Battlefield, World War II Online, and then it turned to Battlefield Europe. That one came out in 2001. Very old, still alive, but very niche game. And then I moved into World of Warcraft. Quit at Cataclysm, but I spent quite a few years in there, and then I jumped around from MMOs like Rift, Allods, Ruins of Magic, Guild Wars 2, and so on. But there's something about World of Warcraft that just pulls you back in. I don't know what it is, and I think everybody watching this kind of has that same feeling. No matter where you go, you can't escape that feeling that Blizzard had created with the classic World of Warcraft. So the death of Turtle WoW, or the shutdown of Turtle WoW, rather, kind of drove me to kind of look at what is going on in the private server scene and kind of how to adjust yourself to it. And I really wanted to share that information with people, because it is a risky endeavor for people to say, hey, I'm going to spend time on this server. Is it worth it? So that's really what drove me to create the Chief Rockie MMO channel.
Thank you very much for your introduction, by the way. I was really impressed by the video about Sandworlds you did. It was really, really good. How long are you doing video editing and stuff like this?
Oh, for video editing, I basically just grab clips wherever I can, and then I use Wondershare from Mora. And then for thumbnails, just use whatever free editors I could get, and a little bit of AI to spice it up. But other than that, just basic stuff that anybody can.
Don't tell people you use AI.
Wink, 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 guys. I don't use AI.
I mean, everyone does, right? I do it too, but people really are sensitive about that.
It's a tool, guys. It's a tool. You use it correctly, it's not going to take anybody's job.
Yeah. And you're playing Sandworlds right now, true?
I have been, but I've actually jumped into OctoWoW.
Okay.
Yeah, watching Sheldy's videos, I was like, okay, this is too tempting. But I was very, very suspicious. Listen, I listened to both of your podcasts on both of your guys' channels. It was so good, I had to go twice. But
thank you.
You're very welcome. I had apprehensions about it as well, and the same way you did with your video. And I think I was very poignant on my comments in your video, but you made great points, and those points were very valid, and brought up concerns with a lot of people. But I think the thing with OctoWoW was they needed to prove themselves to be trustworthy. And I think that's what you guys talked about in the last podcast. And I think they've done that. Sandworlds to me was, they'd have already proved it, because they were operating for a year while Turtle was still out, right? So for me, it was a safe bet. It's a smaller server, smaller community. Not very many people knew about it until Bellular kind of blasted it out there. But it was a very safe bet to kind of just keep yourself immersed in the Turtle content, but feel that, your time invested. Because to me, the most important currency I have is my time. And if I'm going to spend it on something, I got to make sure that investment of my time is worth it.
I can absolutely understand that point. I mean, you're at that as well. We talked about it. And our time is limited, right? So if we want to play video games, we have to exactly choose what we play So the time is not wasted.
Yes,
I
very
feel
much so.
you there. And you have good points about it. Sandworlds came out when the leak of the 1.17 client happened to Turtle WoW, right? Before they went down, if my informations are true. So about
Yes.
1 year or something like this.
Yes,
And
that's
because of this, of course, as you said, they were trust trophy, yeah?
That's correct.
I see that point. With OctoWoW and also with Capycraft, they all have this old client running right now, right? They all use this 1.17 or 1.18 client now. I mean, they are, all bring the same risk with it, right?
That's correct, with the exception of Capybara. Capybara Paradise is literally just the server restarted. So it is the original code base, where OctoWoW and Sandworlds is the leaked 1.17.2 or 1. And Sandworlds, it's a very small development team. One real dev.
Yeah, it's
and
two people, right?
Yeah, they actually expanded to 3. But the third one's more of like a GM, and one does like code base and the other one's the real true dev. So it's a very slow project. And then OctoWoW was the one, it started with the same code base as Sandworlds, but has impressively in 2 months caught up to what Capybara Paradise is.
Shelda told me that Capycraft was helping OctoWoW to get to the 1.18 patch. Have you heard that?
I have not heard that, but I wouldn't discredit that. That could be very likely. And I think 2 things could have happened. One, the devs for OctoWoW, just from my interaction with some of the GMs in chat, because I did have some issues, and just be polite and ask some questions. They're very passionate. So it wouldn't shock me if they were like, hey, out of the interest of both of us, it would probably help you out and help us out if we could just share the knowledge we have. I think they have the same mindset I have with it, right? And I said before that I wouldn't play on Capybara Paradise because of my occupation and just the location they're at in the world. It's just not, I don't trust it. But it is a good thing it does exist. The more servers out there that have the Turtle code or the client, the more likely it is to stay alive and succeed and be playable. So I'm very happy that there's 3 servers out there operating the Turtle code, and I'm excited to see where all 3 of them take it. But yeah, it wouldn't be out of the possibility of them either asking for help, or the other option would they were just playing it and sniffing code.
Okay, I see. I mean, in your video, you said that Turtle WoW is basically a virus which is spreading after Blizzard took them down, right? In the same sense, you're telling me right now this metaphor is working like this because there will be more servers like Turtle WoW, like a virus. I like this metaphor, but it's meant in a positive way, right?
That's correct. I mean, a virus is, basically just a very aggressive strain of bacteria, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's aggressive in a cancerous sort of way or a degrading sort of way. This is a more positive way. Yeah. You're correct on that. And this kind of alludes to OctoWoW and how they're taking it, because they have that same mindset where they have the 8 knowledge keepers. So they all have a copy of the client code, always updated and kept. So if one of them gets exposed, there's still 7 more that could release another copy of it. So if OctoWoW goes down, just another one will pop up.
Yeah, absolutely. With the point I was trying to make with the Capycraft helping OctoWoW, maybe it's because they try to sniff out each other, yeah. But it also feels like a sort of, helpful thing in this community, which was surprising me because they are competitors, aren't they?
Yes. That's true. Just because they're competitors doesn't necessarily point to a bad thing. Having a friendly competition drives for innovation. And I think both of them see it that way, or at least I hope they do. Yeah. For example, there's a story of like a worker at Coca-Cola trying to sell. He got fired, so he tried to sell the secret recipe of Coca-Cola to Pepsi, and Pepsi actually called the FBI on him, right? So they understood that healthy competition, right? That innovation doesn't come from nowhere. You need an external factor to cause a little bit of friction, a little bit of pressure to force you to say, okay, I have to innovate my way out of this. And I think that's how they're seeing it. And I think that's how they're trying to strive forward.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I have to think about it, but that's a really, really good point. Makes sense. So right now you're playing on OctoWoW, right? What level are you there?
I just started. So I tried with a druid, and not very. I don't like that type of gameplay. So I started trying a mage. I was going to do a live stream, but I could not get my stuff to work. So I'm both. Yeah, I had to cancel it. It's actually in the Discord. It's kind of embarrassing. So I do apologize to anybody, to the 23 people that watched. I sincerely apologize for the issues. So now I'm just going to make it a video series. But to both of I got to level 10. So
hey, I can help you setting it up if you need some help.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to reach out to you after this.
Absolutely. Yeah. Feel free to reach out. We're helping you for sure. But 23 viewers, that's good for the first time you started streaming.
Oh, yeah. I had 23 on YouTube, and I think I had like 10 on Rumble. So it was pretty good.
So you're at the beginning right now. Shelter told me he's about, what was it, nearly 40 or something like this. But it's progression, right? As we said before, as a dad, we don't have so much time. So we have to put in every hour we can get to get up and leveling. If it's like Turtle WoW, really slow, right? So it takes time to reach end game.
Yeah, sometimes you get lucky and you could bribe your wife and kids, like, here, go.
I mean, you could play with your kids together maybe one day.
Actually, we do. So little...
Really?
Yeah. So actually, we play Warmane together.
That's something we will talk about Warmane in a second, because I honestly haven't really been much of the server yet. But I saw they exist for about 15 years now. That's crazy. That's really crazy. Yeah, let's talk about Warmane. Can you tell me something about the server? Because I have really not much information about it.
Yeah, so the server, it's very hard to tell where the servers are from, but I know they're mirrored in France, right? They have 3 servers. One is the longest lasting one, the Lauderon server, and they just started up in Nixia not too long ago, and then they have another one, I forget what the name of it is. But they're almost all the same, and they offer Lordaeron's more of like the more established pay to win one, and Onyxia is more of like, it has less pay to win, but there still is pay to win. The thing with their server is it's a safe bet, and it's continual, or the last version of Wrath of the Lich King, which is by far the most popular version of Warcraft, and it exists kind of just to keep that as a historical game to play. And they give you the option, so when you go in, you could choose, like, if you want to get like 7 times XP, 5 times XP, 2 times, 1 time, or no XP. It's all the decisions are all up to you how you want to progress, and all the servers are cross. I think that comes into a little bit of contingency when you're doing PvP, because you might be playing PvP with somebody on the Lordaeron server who's, spending a little bit of cash here and there to bolster their account. But other than that, it's very safe. It's very stable. I enjoy playing with the kids. We don't get too much time to play together, because kids play hockey and all that other stuff, and so it's very hard to find time to do that.
Yeah, but that's good. I mean, they shouldn't be so much in front of the PC, right?
Absolutely. But my kid, absolutely, he loves the story behind Arthas. He loves the Lich King. He's just enthralled with it. Oh yeah.
That's awesome, man. That sounds really, really cool. I was thinking about if maybe, I don't know, in 10 years or something like this. My son is 9 months old now. Maybe I will introduce him to World of Warcraft one day, but I know how addictive it is, so I don't know if I want to show it to him, honestly, right now.
That is always a concern as a parent, right? Like you want to share your passions, right? And you want to immerse them in it, right? But you always have to be cognizant. But it's no different than eating sweets, right? Like, okay, it's tasty, but you gotta kind of limit it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so, but no, that concern is very valid, very valid.
Yeah, back to Warmane. Why is it pay to win there? I mean, if it's a Wrath of the Lich King server, can you buy items there, or what's the point?
Yes, you can buy power-ups, you can buy items, you could buy pretty much whatever you want in that server. You can buy it. But again, this is a server that's been up for a very long time. They do have some things that kind of help the market and keep things stable. They do kind of what's called like a gold refresh. I believe it's every couple months. They just basically reset everything back to a baseline, and they wipe out a section of your gold. But that's just to keep everything, the economy, fresh, because they don't want all that stuff flooded in there. They have very unique ways to do it. Unfortunately, because I only play with my kids, we haven't gotten that far, so I couldn't tell you that much. But just at a cursory level of reviewing it, none of that really affects it until you really get to endgame or you do PvP. And I'm more of a PvE guy. So like, as if Johnny's over there buying, super pauldrons and killing Smith over here, as long as I'm over there just PvEing, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I see, yeah. Interesting. How are they able to stay up for so long and were never touched by Blizzard? Is it because they are so under the radar?
It's that, and it's basically, so doing a lot of research into this, it is really hard to find this stuff, right? And if you look at like the EULA, right? So basically the contract you all signed when you play World of Warcraft, right? So there's only 144 out of the 195 countries that even actually acknowledge that as a law. So if you're in one of those other few countries that decided, hey, we're not even going to consider that a legal contract, like what is the stipulation for anybody to say, hey, yeah, you got to shut them down because we said so? Well, we don't acknowledge that law, right? So you have them basically putting themselves in countries that either A, don't acknowledge it, or B, have very light enforcement of such laws. So they'll continue to do that, and they'll move if they need to. And they also cloak their purchases in a form of untraceability. So if you use Bitcoin or any type of cryptocurrency, that all that purchasing and stuff is kind of locked. So you can't really tell where it's going or who spent it unless you're the person tracking it and taking it, right? So it's very hard for treasuries or other companies to really know what you're spending on if they're not involved in that chain. So that's kind of how they're doing it, is they cloak themselves in this basically invisibility like cloak behind countries that either have limited or no enforcement of this or don't even recognize it, and then basically only use purchases through crypto. And the unique thing is World of Warcraft and Blizzard particular, right, they go after people that flaunt their logo or keep their logo and stuff, right? So if you go to the Warmane page, there is no mention of World of Warcraft on it at all, other than like a small text line. There's no picture of the World of Warcraft logo. There's no picture of Blizzard. It's a very baseline page. So unless you really dig in deep and start reading the text, it's very hard to clearly say, hey, yeah, it's Blizzard.
I see. But it's also the assets, right? I mean, it's not only the logo. It's only the assets, because it's a copyright infringement, basically, which they can bring to court. So even if they are not showing it on the website, if they get any proof in form of, I don't know, a YouTube video or something like this, then they can bring this in court. Or am I wrong here?
No, you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. And yeah, you're right. I didn't mention that part. But they have to bring it to somebody. And if they don't know who that somebody is, then they can't actually bring a legal statement. Because unfortunately, like a lot of people, and I'll see this in my comments, oh, this is illegal. Yes, but there's a difference between criminal and civil, and this is a civil suit. So when a civil suit happens, you have to identify the individuals and you have to be able to serve them that. And if you don't, and they don't acknowledge it, and let's say they're in a separate country, you now have to get the country involved. And if the country says, hey, I got more important things to do, or we don't recognize this, there's very limited things that Blizzard could do.
I agree with you here, but I have a point about it. Are you into the Ascension lawsuit right now, which Blizzard opened up? Have you read a little bit into the files?
I actually did, yes. And I did a video about it where I did a risk assessment and how that might affect the other servers.
Great. Because my point here would be, your argument was they are basically hosting outside or in a country which is not reachable by Blizzard, right? If I got your point. Is this correct?
Yes, but
did I understand your point you made? Yeah.
Yes, but not only the server, but the people that own it.
Okay, yeah, I see. Yeah, that's a good point, because my argument here would be that especially in the Ascension lawsuit, they made a point about this bulletproof hosting from a Russian provider, which Ascension did, and the US Treasury sanctioned it for cybercrime basically in the suit. So they put it up, an argument against Ascension in the case. Absolutely, your point is that they had one person in court, which the person who got the lawyer basically, and it's about 9 people or something like this who are targeted right now. And this special thing that the servers were in Russia was put against them. So I think that's not the risk-free thing you can do anymore, which was an argument for a long time in the scene, as far as I know.
No, you're absolutely correct, right? And that's why I wanted to delineate between the two actual hosts, where the servers are, the company, and who owns it, right? So I think where Ascension and Turtle kind of got caught up was they allowed a actual development team member to be in the US. And that put them square in the bullseye of Blizzard, right? So it's like one of my So when I did the risk assessment, I did it for, the 3 turtle clones, and trying to show my non-biases here, I did it against Sandworlds, right? And one of the things, like, Sandworlds, because it's very complicated and it is very nuanced of how they do it. Like, if you looked at OctoWoW, their website is actually, if you look at the website address and where it's actually listed, it comes from Western Africa, right? But their servers are probably somewhere in either Russia or like Western Asia, like Kazakhstan or one of the stands. If you look at Sandworlds, they're in Brazil. Well, Brazil has this clause in their own constitution that says, we will not extradite any of our citizens no matter what. So it would be very hard for Blizzard to say, hey, we're going to do this to you. Well, they do a lot of trade with Western countries, but they are also part of BRICS. So if they wanted to shift their legal payment from a SWIFT payment to one of either China or Russia, they could, and it would just evade anything that Blizzard could do to say, hey, well, we're gonna tell these hosts to stop accepting your payment. Okay, well, we're also part of BRICS. We could just shift our payment method.
It's a good point. The question is the RICO charge, which Blizzard explicitly made, allows them to go after countries outside the US, right? But the question is, it's really, really complicated for them.
Yes.
So if they can't target anyone in the US, like it was the case with Turtle WoW and with Ascension right now, they might be able to do it, but the efforts are so high and so costly that it's probably not worth it, right?
Yes, that's correct, right? Because it's a civil suit, and they would have to win the civil suit for anything else to take effect, right? So if they're found guilty in the civil suit of, let's say, the RICO charges or the violating the sanctions, that's when the federal charges could come in, and then they could be in real criminal trouble, right? But they have to be in criminal federal trouble for anything to happen, right? And we're going to be asking the United States government to petition another government because of a video game server. That's going to be a really hard stretch, right? So I see these content creators, and I understand what they're getting at. Well, I'm not going to say names, but if you mess with the
don't do that.
Yeah, I'm not. If you mess with a company that has a lot of money, then they could do anything to you. Well, yes, but could they actually get to you physically? They might be able to stop you from doing anything in a Western country. They might be able to stop you from doing anything in the United States, Australia, Europe. But they couldn't stop you from doing anything in other countries that just don't care about that.
Yeah, I see your point. Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's really interesting. You are from the US, so you are a little bit more, you have insights about the US law, right? Because when I look at this court files, I can only see it from the perspective of Europe. So the Europe court is a little bit different than the US court, especially a German court, and the lawsuit, how they could happen. That's a really interesting point with the civil and the federal point here you made up.
If I may add one more thing to that, Whiter, was
yeah, sure.
Bellular's recent video, he mentioned, about the whole turtle situation and servers, and he mentioned Warmane. And one of the things he mentioned is that Warmane and one other server, I can't remember what it was, they're on a list of servers that you should not access because of piracy. So if the federal government put it on a list, why would you just put it on a list if you just can't shut it down? You wouldn't do that. If you could shut down the server, you wouldn't put a list out to people saying, hey, don't access that.
Yeah, makes sense. Huh? In this logic, basically Capybara is absolutely secure, right? Because they probably won't be able to go after China. But hasn't Blizzard connections to China with Tencent for their version of World of Warcraft?
Yeah, through NetEase, actually. They have a multi-billion
NetEase,
dollar deal.
sorry, not Tencent.
Yeah. No, I mean, they both have their hands in everything, so why not? Just flip a coin.
I recently made a video about WoW Classic. That's why I was with Tencent, with League of Legends Classic, and they are working Tencent, and NetEase was Blizzard. Yeah, I mixed that up.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on, please.
Well, that's fine. I mean, NetEase and Tencent operate a little differently, and I like the way they operate because, like, League of Legends, most of their servers are still here in other countries, so you're not going through China to play that game, right? Even if Tencent acquires a company, they don't necessarily move the servers. They just recently acquired PlanetSide 2, which is like an FPS MMO, and the servers are staying in California, if I'm correct. So they're not really moving or making any changes. But with the NetEase one, that's because of the whole debacle with Blizzard and where it was going to be hosted and the whole Chinese lockdown and stuff, right? So they came to a deal, I think in 2024, and they reopened up their servers in China. So that's where I'm concerned, right? And doing my research, I think there's only 3 plausible places that they could possibly be. One being Hong Kong, which puts them square in China, right? The other one is Taiwan, and the other place could be Singapore. All 3 of those places, Hong Kong would definitely be affected by China, but Taiwan and Singapore could definitely be affected by the US because they predominantly use the SWIFT payment method.
And also Hong Kong and Taiwan, aren't they sort of independent from the Chinese government? So that's why it will be way harder for them to enforce law on it?
Taiwan, yes. Hong Kong, no. I've been to Hong Kong quite a few times. And the last time I went, you could see where the Chinese government has basically got a little bit more control over it. They were supposed to, by the deal with England, have a little bit more independence, but it's not panning out that way. So yes, the Chinese government definitely has more hands into what goes on in Hong Kong than people realize. Okay, I see. So the big question is here, when we're following your logic here, basically, there are only 1 or 2 ways for private servers to absolutely legally shield them, right? Point 1 is they need to stay anonymous in any way, so Blizzard can't target a person. And point 2, they need to be in a country where they can't be reached. Is this correct? That's correct. That's through doing my own risk assessment, that's the only thing I came out with that would be the safest method for them. Because even if you're in Europe, even if you're in Australia or Japan or Korea, that Blizzard does have a way to get to you. And those countries are known for working with the U.S. legal system. So, and I think Kajito made a good video about where, and I think you did too as well, about like where is the state of the private servers going to go? You're basically going into this dark, untrustworthy area to play a version of the game that we should have, but we don't. Yeah, but on the other hand, the providers are basically forced right now because of aggressive Blizzard to go in such directions, right? It also helps Blizzard because it destroys the trust in the private server scene in some sort of. But on the other hand, yeah, that's the only way they can do to not get targeted by them. Yeah, I mean, there's no absolute stop private servers, but Blizzard's doing a really good job of trying. Yeah, true. I mean, if we look at the quality of private servers, what they have become the last maybe 10 years, it's insane how good they are right now. So Blizzard is basically forced to go after them now at this stage if they don't want to lose more people. Absolutely. Your last video was spot on that, and I made a comment basically alluding to that I think people have seen their incompetence and seen where they're heading with their content. We don't like it. And private servers of just passionate players that actually want to play the games they love they're going leaps and bounds above what Blizzard could do. It's embarrassing to them. It's really embarrassing to them. Yeah, if you think about how much money is flowing in the background. I mean, also, let's be true about this Turtle WoW, and Ascension also made millions of dollars with their product in the end. But I mean, in my opinion, they earned it because they delivered really, really good products. And Blizzard is not delivering this quality. And if you think about how much money they are pumping into it, into their devs and into their costs and something like this, there should be a better product out of it, right? Yeah, I don't know. The quality of Blizzard is really, really disappointing me right now, especially Classic Plus if the leaks are true. No, I 100% agree with you. And I do think, I try not to get in the whole leak thing, but I do watch it. It's very, very titillizing. So it's hard to not. But no, I agree with you. I don't think that they will make a good product. I think the leaks probably are alluding to something that's going to be catastrophic. And I think in a whole, the gaming industry is seeing that. You're seeing that with Asha Shara, the new CEO of Xbox, who Blizzard falls under them. And they're realizing like, hey, like when you have bloat, when you have 14 levels of managerial personnel to go through to get something approved, that is disastrous. It's slow. You're going to have a lot of fingers in the process. It just causes a lot of problems. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing corporate greed and bloat. Yeah. Absolutely. Corporate greed is one of the main points about it. I mean, in the end, the goal of a company is to grow. They have to increase their incomes. It's also stakeholders in these big companies. Of course, they are trying to maximize it. That's their job, basically. Yeah. That's their main goal, to be
But the main problem is it's about video games, and video games is something which a lot of people are passionate about it. I mean, it's not a stupid product. It's something which people enjoy putting their time into it. It's something which helps them, which people love basically. And changing a video game to a product is something which I really hate nowadays. And you see this in mobile games. They make so much money basically, but they are soulless. It's just to make money. And that's the same what's happening to World of Warcraft from Blizzard side. Not only from Blizzard, also other games, to be fair here. But especially with World of Warcraft, it's something I really hate to see.
No, I completely agree. I think the real downfall was when the Activision merge happened, and they became a more corporate, run by the board, more less than ran by the actual creators. They need to get back to the creation. It's no less than, look, everybody understands you have to make money, you have to keep the lights on, you have to pay employees. Nobody's arguing that. But if you run a ice cream company and you change the ingredients of vanilla ice cream, and we all say, hey, this doesn't taste like vanilla, and we found out you changed the recipe because it was cheaper, well, you're going to lose customers because the quality of the product you promised us has changed. The good example of this was Costco's. Everybody knows what Costco's is. During the inflation that's been happening, the owner of Costco says, no, we are going to keep the price of hot dogs the same. That instills trust from the that instills trust from the customer, saying, you know what, I believe in them, I will continue to shop them. But when you get Blizzard that just churns out whatever this is, and they just say, hey, we're going to relaunch Classic again for the third time, you're watering down the quality of what you're doing. You're not innovating anything, and no one's buying it anymore.
But the main problem is people are still buying it.
That is true. Well, are they? Are they? So
yeah, they do.
Yeah, that's okay. You know what? I can see that point, but I do want to bring up something, right? And I think that this is a valid thing to look at. And everybody talks about numbers. I think General Apple brought this up in one of his videos too, was the numbers, right? Blizzard doesn't really show their numbers that often. But if you take a look at the private server scene, we know Ascension probably has close to 1 million players. We knew Turtle WoW had close to 500,000. I know that Warmane has close to 1 million. So you're looking at, let's just be generous and say there's about 3 million there alone. If you look at Blizzard's servers, go play retail. There's a lot of bots. How many active players really are there? And I think they're just being held up by a whole bunch of whales and streamers.
I'm not sure about retail. The last version of retail I played was Dragonflight, so I can't tell anything about it. What I have seen was TBC Anniversary, because when it came up for the third time now, basically, I first didn't want to play it, but then I had a real-life friend who also said you will play it, and then I thought, okay, why not dip into it? I can also make a little bit of content of it and stuff like this, yeah? And they made this shop thing where you were able to spend about, was it 50 or 60 US dollars, something like this, and players were able to get the flying mount for it. But basically, I saw about 10 or 12 instances of servers daily there with their sharding system. I don't know how many people one shard is holding there, but 12 instances was a lot. And every second person I saw there had this mount. So there were so many people spending a lot of money for a 20-year-old game and just the flying mount, basically. It must still be really lucrative for Blizzard because the people are spending on this old product. I'm also not sure about the actual numbers, but it seemed to be a lot.
Yeah, I think someone mentioned retail was sitting about close to 5 to 20 concurrent thousand, that is. But they said that Classic and TBC are a little higher than that. Okay. I did notice, and that's why I said like there is whales, and you know it comes to the sunk cost fallacy and being able to want to show off you have the newest stuff. I did see where some people were saying, you know, I don't like the bots, but I'm going to continue to mention them, but then I'm still going to continue to pay for stuff in the server. Change does not happen in a company. So the way the US identifies companies, they identify a company as its own individual thing. It has an identity to it. And when you have a board of directors, it's kind of the brain. A company will never change its ways unless you have something directly tied to it. So money. So if you want to affect a change on how a company does things, you have to affect their bottom line. And buying that next mount or complaining about the bots doesn't do anything. It feeds their company the wrong information that, oh, you do enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to vote with your wallet, right?
Yes, that's correct. At least with companies.
Yeah, true. So the question is, another point which was bugging me a little bit, Nostrum WoW lately came out, and they had no shop. Having a shop on a private server also made them targetable by Blizzard, right? And
Yes.
we are talking here about private servers are doing this to deliver a great video game, not a product basically, because they love it and stuff like this. But in the end, they also want to earn, right? So is this an option to not have a shop for the devs?
Ooh, I haven't, that's a great question. And that's one I don't really have a good answer for.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, because you want the servers to keep innovating, right? And innovation takes time, and time takes money, because if I'm asking the development team to, hey, we want this, they now have to take time away from whatever job they have and now allocate that to them. So you need to sustain them.
Yeah.
It's one of those catch-22s, right? You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Warmane has a shop. I think there's a couple others that have shops, but I think what they're asking for per se, right? You have Chromicraft, which I think they only take like a small donation just to keep the server up, and I think they're just paying for server costs. I think Sandworlds does the same thing. They only ask for like $1 donations a month on Patreon to keep their server up. And I think even then the dev team has been paying for the server themselves the entire time. So it's kind of one of those things where like, well, you're not developing long enough or fast enough. Yeah, but I have to work because I can't ask for donations because I'll be targeted, or I have to go move to Kazakhstan in a small village, right, to hide. It's very complicated.
I mean, as you said before, you have costs, or of course your server costs, your development costs. I mean, we all know devs are expensive, their time is valuable, so you have to give them something back, right? And in the end, I think we all try to, especially nowadays, to monetize our hobbies. I mean, we do the same with YouTube, right?
Yes.
The same logic behind it. And I can absolutely understand when someone has a passion for creating a version of World of Warcraft, but they want to get something back from it, right? So I can understand private servers have shops. I can absolutely understand that, and I think it's good if it's working out for them when they deliver us a good version of World of Warcraft because of this. I think no one will do it only for goodwill in the end.
Yeah, I think money has a certain way on the way people think, right? And as soon as you start to see more, you want more. Yeah. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to turn that down. It really would be for a lot of people, right? I think we're seeing a lot of that with the lawsuit. Well, allegedly in the lawsuit with the Ascension and what they were doing with the money, but it is very it's complicated, right? They need a shop, but the shop can get out of control, and then it also puts a target on them. It's a very complicated situation.
I mean, in the end, the private server devs, I see them like small indie developers. Some of them grew really big, as we know, like Ascension. Yeah. But in the end, they earned it, right? I mean, they stole the assets. Here, it's a copyright infringement. Yeah, we all know that. Okay. Ethical, it's not correct. Yeah, we know that. But in the end, the work they put in it, they earned the money they made in the end. And they still had passion for the game. At least it felt like this, because Conquest of Azeroth, I first didn't want to play it because I thought they have a big target on their head and it's probably going down. And I also was a little bit burnt out from World of Warcraft, but that's another topic. But then I tried it out and I got so hooked on it, and I can just feel the passion the devs had for this game while they made it. It's so good. It's insane. It's a complete new version of World of Warcraft, basically. I never played something like this. And then I think it's so sad that I have to go down now. And they earn the money they make. Yeah, compared to Blizzard, they are not a small indie company. They are a complex of different companies now, and they are not doing it for delivering a great game. They want to deliver products and they want to make more money with it. And that's where I feel more for private servers. It's just my 2 cents about it.
No, I 100% agree with you. It kind of alludes back to what we were talking about before, right? Like Blizzard's motivations have shifted from being passionate about the game to being passionate about the amount of money being made, right? And what they've done was they got rid of the creation team's still there. Let me rephrase that. They haven't gotten rid of the creation team, but they have downsized it, but they had increased other areas. I actually know somebody that used to work there. We went and got a certification together, and he kind of told me, like, their HR department's out of control. He got accused of a whole bunch of very heinous things just because of emojis, and
like stealing breast milk.
No, no. Actually, this guy's he's a former military guy, so no, he wasn't doing that.
Okay.
But he
okay.
no, he was a part of the bug tracking team for World of Warcraft, right? And he would
Mm-hmm.
make responses back to what needed to be fixed, and he would use a thumbs up emoji or a smiley face, and they accused him of sexism, racism, and bigotry.
Okay, that's wild.
Yes. So he quit. And then I was in a class with him getting a certification for something. So I've actually been thinking about reaching out to him and seeing if he wouldn't mind sitting down to do an interview. But I've actually driven past the Blizzard complex, and it is a campus. And for these guys to say, well, they're making money. Yeah, sure they are. But so are you. And what you're doing with it is a crime as well.
I see, yeah. Okay, we are talking for a long time now already. I really enjoyed the talk with you, but we have to come to an end. Maybe we can wrap up a little bit what we were talking about. Sorry to make this like such a cut off now. But yeah, we need to come to an end. Who would you love to hear next episode? Any sort of content creator or any person you could think of? Is there someone you would like to hear here on the podcast?
I know for me, Wider, I don't know if you saw this new content creator that just did a video about OctoWoW, iStatic Ninja. He looks like he has a lot more knowledge on what's going on with OctoWoW than I do. So he would be something, obviously Kajito, he'd be a good one to talk to. Yeah.
I'm already in talk with Kachito or Kaheto. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I always butcher names, so I'm not sure. But he will be on a future episode already. He's planned here. Nice. We also talked about the topic already, but I can probably record this in August. And iStatic Ninja is the other guy. I have to look him up. Maybe you can send his YouTube channel to me afterwards.
I sure will. And then another good one I think might be an actual interesting conversation is General Apple.
General Apple. Also never heard of this one. What is he doing?
He's a streamer. He played Turtle WoW for a while. And he's trying to get back into World of Warcraft, but he's mostly just hanging out in Guild Wars 2. And then he does a lot of content about like what's going on. He covers a lot of the drama with World of Warcraft and private servers.
All right, then I will try to contact them. When we wrap our talk up now, basically, if you want to stay safe, you have to stay anonymous, right? We didn't really talk about OctoWoW right now, how they are staying anonymous. Maybe there's something for a future episode as well, if you're up to. If we want to go deeper into this topic. And you also have to be on a country where you basically are not reachable by Blizzard, right? Did I miss something?
Pretty much that's it. Go hide in a tent in the middle of Asia.
So if you want to do a private server, maybe that's helping you to stay safe from Blizzard. It was a really, really great talk with you. Really enjoyed it. Everyone go to Chief Rockie's channel. I will link it down in the video description. If you enjoyed his takes, he does really great videos. Watch his Sandbolt videos especially. I like that a lot. And yeah, it was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you very much, Wider. It has been a pleasure to be here. And it was a complete honor. Thank you very much.